going. What's up, F-Words? It's David the Caveman bringing to you episode 6 of Cave Art Adventures. On the last episode, we were working on this brick wall for our backdrop, for our diorama that we can make at home together. Today we're going to work on the base. That base piece is going to come from the leftover, particularly the larger size leftover piece from the original sheet that we cut up for this backdrop. Just touching bases before we move on to that base. Arthur says he's doing good. We got it done. That's what's up, man. That was a really cool house that you guys repainted. Really quick, I want to touch bases on this brick wall. If you guys missed the last episode, we went through this whole design together, and at one point I know my feet cut, but we're back at it. And I hope that at home you took the time, or if not, and if you're following with me right now, that's hecka cool. But I hope that you took the time and initiative to go ahead and use your pencil. We're only going to do a few of these lines. I made most of these before I started live. But what we're going to do is you're going to grab a pencil. You're going to sharpen it with the this bigger size hole right here. That way you get a longer tip, which is what we want. So we're going to use the bigger circle. I'm going to sharpen this a little bit more. And whoops, that was a little too much. Now I'm going to have to redo that. That's totally fine. Alright, and that's what we're going to use to engrave the lines. Everybody that's joining me, thank you so much. You can also catch us on the mydiytv.com. There's a live chat. You can join there too. If you're here through Roku, thank you for joining us. If you're here through the tubes, thank you, thank you. If you don't know where to find me, you can find me on Roku, on the Roku TV streaming channel. Sorry, on Roku TV, streaming through the DIY channel. And on the tubes, you can find me under Cave Art Adventures. And if you're here on TikTok, what's up, TikTok? Now, what we're going to do to get these lines going pretty smoothly, you're not going to let the pencil do all the work. What you're actually going to do is you're going to press down at the edge of the foam, and then you're going to pull, you're going to way down and pull. Don't drag, pull. Then we're going to get nice defined lines right there. Like so. Try to keep that flow going so that you don't have to start over. This part of the project tends to have, to make minimal, you tend to have minimal errors when you do it this way. If you pull the pencil out and start over again, it tends to give you a spot where you will notice it. Right now, we're going for the clean lines. We want clean lines to show because time and purpose and all that jazz. Right now, we want to make these as smooth and clean as possible. The roughing of them will come up later if we so choose to. There are many ways to express these bricks. We can give them texture. We can leave them solid and smooth. We can give them depth. But for right now, we're just going to outline them all and push in and pull this pencil so we can divide those bricks. A little ASMR action right here, right? We got a comment. What's up, everybody? You know the channel number on Roku? I do not, but I believe you have to go to the search bar on Roku. There you can look up the DIY channel. It should come up in the black and white logo. It might say MBC on it. You add that to your home page, and then from the home page you click on it and it should show you me. If not, you can always go to mydiytv.com. There is a live chat there. I should be on there right now. I checked for you guys, but I got a lot of things going on in these other screens. If my producer is here, he will gladly let you guys know how to get there too. It does take him a sec sometimes to join, but yeah, don't hold it against him. Everybody that's sharing and liking so far, thank you so much. All contribution does help and make me feel good, from the likes, follows, comments, and the gifts. If you're just here to chill, I love that too. So far, you can see it does look a lot more different with the divided bricks here. You'll find little happy mistakes that happen occasionally when the pencil drags like so. We can always turn that into a little bit of weathering, rough edges, you know, cracks in the bricks. So there's no reason to feel upset about it. If you do have these little mistakes like this, that's totally okay. You're also gonna see little pieces of it chip off. That's also part of the process. Don't feel too bad if you see that. Even though our goal right now is to have smooth lines, some of these little mistakes right there are just gonna give and add character to your project. What's up, Johnny Rhino? A great customizer up in here. So once we've gone the long way across, the long way, now we're gonna go through the more difficult way. I'm not gonna do all of these here because I really want to move on to the base with you guys. Let me flip this. What I ended up using to cut into this was a brand new X-Acto knife. I mean, a brand new X-Acto blade. If you have one that's a little used with the tip that's broken off, because that happens often, you might want to get a new one, because if that's gonna drag, which is gonna create a lot of these chips that you see, and you know, it's not always what you want, because right now we're working on making it smooth. And like I said, we can always add weathering and rough it up in the later steps. So how to properly line these up is you don't want to just poke and drag. You actually want to, let me show you here, make sure I find the right spot. You actually want to point, pull, point, pull, point, press and pull, point, press and pull, all the way down to the end of this row. And that'll make it to where the blade goes in deep enough to where it's not going to drag the surface layer of this XPS foam, which is something you want to avoid. Unless you're looking for that kind of texture, you might be a little schooled on this and that's what you want and are okay with, totally fine. But for now, like I said, we're going to go for those neat lines. Everybody, oh shoot, John, thanks so much for those gifts, bro. I chose the ice cream emoji this time because your boy's trying to stay off the ice cream as hard as I can, and I just want you to tempt me, you know? Maybe I'll go pick up some ice cream after this. So what I like to do is I like to do 2 rows at a time. I just gotta make sure I find the spot that I was at. I might have just started on a random line right there to show you guys that example. Let's see, do you have lines? You do. What about you? You do not. Okay. So paint, point, press, and pull. Looks like this one is all the way done to here. Heck yeah. Yo, thank you for sharing the live, you guys. If you could do me the favor, be as awesome as John and share this to all your friends, especially if they like crafting. We can always chill here together and learn from one another. Point, press, pull. Point, press, pull. That is the mantra for these bricks. Point, press, and pull. Okay. And I'm just about halfway through this. Like I said, I don't want to do the whole thing with you guys. This is definitely something you can do while you listen to some good music. So on this one, I'm gonna take the training wheels off and let you guys do that on your own time. I just wanted to point out the way that I do this with, again, the point, press, and pull. That'll be your mantra, and that'll avoid dragging of the blade and chipping on the surface of the foam. And I'll finish this lineup. I might continue this when I have some spare stuff, spare time. But really quickly, I do want to show you the difference of what it looks like once it's divided. You can see they're pressed together. They look pretty awesome. Now let me show you what it looks like with some space. But first, let me see some of these messages. What's up, everybody? We all scream for ice cream. It's Jay, I saw that. That's awesome. It's hot too. Ice cream does sound good, exactly for that reason. Arthur, thank you for sharing this. I got my first 2 Mayfex. Is that what you're saying? I'm still gonna commission you for a dio soon, Johnny Rhino. I would love that, brother. If you once I start showing off the dioramas that I have already built and ready to go, you let me know if those catch your eyes. If not, we can always start fresh with you, bud. Coach Scooby, thank you for sharing this. Oh, I knew that's what you meant, Arthur. Awesome. So again, I'm just gonna show you. You can see more in these. That's just a pen. But let's give it some space. Another important detail that that you should be paying attention to is the direction you initially dragged your blade. I'm sorry, pulled your blade. You want to follow that same direction so it's not fighting the foam, doing it the opposite way. That'll keep your lines neat. You already have a track to follow, and it'll be less of those happy mistakes we like to keep around. You know what I mean? Now, separating these bricks does create its own weathering on the sides, so it's not something that you need to get stuck on when you are going over it with your blade, because the separation will give them that weathering naturally just by running your pencil through it. You don't have to use a pencil, it's just the tool that I like to use for this part. Other tools you can use is a pen. I've seen that work sometimes, but it also leaves a track from where the pen tip comes out of, So if you want to avoid those kind of marks, stick with the pencil. Okay. And it's going to be the same deal. Point, press, and pull. Point, press, and pull. Should have been the mantra today. So you can see that the separation of the bricks already gives it some depth. And you can see the difference from this to that. And that's what we're trying to achieve with as minimal mistakes as possible. I'll show you guys here. Here's the space. Here's the ones that haven't been separated yet. It's that it's that attention to detail that's going to make all the difference, because at one point I am going to add light spackling to this to fill in the spaces, and that's going to give it a really cool look once it's all painted. Wow, thank you for the 4K likes, you guys. At 10K, I will open an action figure. I'll try and do that as speedy as possible, so that we can keep working on this diorama itself. And like I said, that's what it's not homework. It's just giving you time to do it on your own time, because this is one of the more repetitive aspects of making these brick walls. And you know, training wheels off, boys. You guys can do this part on your own. I might separate some more bricks later, but for right now, we're going to get our base piece. Oh, yes, we're going to get our base. And remember, I ended up sanding this whole sheet before I did anything to it. So I'm gonna bring. I wonder if you guys can tell the difference. This is the side that was not sanded, and here's the side that was. It's just a slight difference in the coloration of it, because you can see that it took the first layer off when I sanded. And yeah, I guess I'm just saying, use the sanded side for the top of the base. Another thing you can expect from buying this kind of material, if I can get this to focus, there is a texture on these, on the sides. There we go. You can see it there. I'm talking to the people on the Roku channel. They can see it better right now. But that side is a little too rough for me. I'm going to end up sanding that so I can make it as smooth as possible. Now, because I cut this to perfect size, well, I can't go too deep with my sanding paper, otherwise I'm going to be taking away from the diorama. And I don't want to take away, I just want to even it out. So, again, we're going to go from one end to the other. Oh, let me move some of these tools that are getting in my way. And while I sand this, I just want to remind everybody of the tools that we will be using today, starting with the piece that you see under my arm. It is the larger piece that was left over from our original panel. You're going to need a snap blade or an X-Acto knife. You're going to need 4 of these round magnets, just 4. You're going to need a ruler, and what else? A pen or a pencil. So if you got all that stuff ready, you're ready to come along with me. And of course, you guys hear me using it. A little sanding block. I'd suggest something around the 150 to 180 grit. And we're just gonna run this bad boy back and forth. Try and cover the whole space, you know, the whole edge of the whole edge. Yeah, the whole side in your strokes, just so that it doesn't come out uneven. And then you can always flip this so you can put some pressure on the opposite side. Again, thank you everybody that is joining me here for the gifts and the likes. We are at 5K likes. You guys must really want me to open an action figure. I'm not going to tell you which one it is this time. It's going to be a surprise for you guys, but I can't wait to open this guy. Uh-oh, I've said too much. Okay, so let's take a look at it. You can see that a lot of the texture is already gone, which is what I want. I don't want to take too much off of this because, like I said, I did cut this to the size that I needed, and taking extra off of it, it's just not what you want to do. Yo, Swag Collection, how are you? Thank you for joining. Everybody else that's just joining in, thank you so much, you guys. Shroomy says, it's like art class. Mr. Taven is the cool art teacher. Yo, that's what I always wanted to be when I was growing up. Funny enough, I told my art teacher in my high school that I was coming for his job. That guy was a great art teacher. He always had the best humor, the best personality. He was really great. Okay. I believe that's as much as I want to take off. I'm going to run it through this other side one more time just so I can even it out. And boom, voila. We have done that part. That's the first part to it. I always use that graded side, you know, with the texture. I try to use that as the back piece, you know, so like if I were to... So this would be the front because it's smoother and that's what you want to see. You want to see smooth details. So that'll be your front. And the rough part, if yours has the rough part on it, will be the back. For this diorama, I want to show you guys the way I'm going to set this up. There's all sorts of ways to set up a diorama build. Really, there is. What I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of placing it behind it, I'm going to place it on top. So, I will tell you guys right now from experience, these are 1 inch thick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ruler, or a yardstick if you're still using yours from last time. I do like the yardsticks a lot more than my ruler just because it can cover the whole area that I need to work on. Taking some notes, that's what's up. My bad for ruining the surprise yesterday. I legit was just curious if you opened it off cam. It's no problem at all. It was pretty nice, man. I'm glad that you were here for it. So, right, I gotta get those measurements out of my way. So what I'm gonna use my smaller ruler. I don't know why, but I have like 5 different rulers, and I always use these 2. They're just my favorites. And I'm going to measure 1 inch up on one side, from the short side. That is the short side. Let me point it this way. So right, we're going to measure 1 inch on the back of the base on one side, and then we're going to mirror that over here to another inch from the back of the base. Now that I've made those marks, I'm going to give it a safety one roughly around the middle, just so I can have something to follow. Now that we have 3 points on our base, we're going to connect these, right? And then we're going to just take our pencil or pen and mark where that's where those connect. Y'all play that game, connect dot. That's what we're doing here. So that one, I just lightly drag my pencil through it. It'll do the work by itself. If you put minimum force on it, it's still going to be plenty, like it's going to be visible for you to see and go off of. Now, I divided that like so, because when we put our backdrop on it, I'm going to know where it's supposed to go immediately without having to go back and forth so much. And it'll help divide what I'm going to paint on the bottom or on the base. And that's always a nice little helper right there, to know what lines you have to stay within. We got some comments here. Swag Collection, taking notes. That's what's up, buddy. Fabian, what's up, man? Okay, so this is where our magnets come into play. If you can eyeball it, you're going to go in about ½ an inch. So let's just go in ½ an inch. And then you're going to place the magnet right there. Then once you place it about in the middle of that inch line that we've made, you're going to press. Just press enough to where you see, where you indent where the magnet's going to be. Press hard enough to where you see the indent of the magnet show up. You can see it right there, and you guys can see that right there. Then we're going to flip this around to the other side, and we're going to do the same, just so that you guys can see. I am going ½ an inch in, and then about the middle right there, and then we press again. Let me move this over here, and then you press. I'm pressing a little harder just so it's easier for the camera to show the work. And there we go. We got 1, 2 magnet indents. Now here's when we need our X-Acto knife or our snap blade, whichever one's handier in your reach. Go ahead and pull that baby out. Now we're going to go, I'm going to show you the magnets, and that's really how deep you have to go down, right, from the base. Let me get it on this camera too. So it's not that much, right? If you're having trouble eyeballing it, you can always take your magnet to the edge of this, and I'll show you guys in a second. Lay it flat, and then press inwards just so that you get an idea of where that's going to go. If you guys can see, there's a little spot right here. This line right there is what we're going to use as a guide. I'll show you guys here on TikTok. This is the line right there that showed up after I pressed it. We're going to use that line as a guide. Alright, so here comes your X-Acto knife, right? Always cut away from you if that is possible. I understand sometimes to get leverage you need to use your X-Acto blade facing you, but for this, it should be pretty easy, especially if it's a new blade on your X-Acto. Yeah, right? This is the X-Acto part, right? And that's just the blade, or I don't know. And what you're going to do, because we've already made our magnet indents, you're going to know how far to take this cut. There we go. I didn't go as deep as I could that first time, so I had to go a second time. And now we're going to do the same on the opposite side. I'm going to take my magnet, I'm going to find the center of that and press N. And just to show you again, you can barely see it, but that line is there. Trust me, you'll be able to see it if this work is in your hands. How about over here? Can you guys see it? Yeah, you can pretty see it. You can see it. And again, we're going to use that X-Acto knife and on that line. And what you want to do is get behind the indent of the magnet. You're going to press all the way in, and then you're going to cut until you get to the other end of the magnet indentation. And voila! You should be left with some cuts like that. This one was a little longer than it needed to be, but that's okay. And now we're just going to trace our circle indentations with our X-Acto knife. While I do that, let me check these messages. Wow, there's so many people coming in and following. Thank you guys. Really appreciate all that. Today we're learning how to work on the base part of a wall, brick wall diorama that we started in the last episode. I have a feeling you build miniature things. Jesse, you wouldn't be wrong. I build them to 1/12 scale, I believe, is the proper scale that I work with. The 6-inch scale is the other way that we talk about it too. I just got the Cursed Crate by Super Action Stuff and Casket of Cruelty. That is one I missed out on. Arthur, that's great, man. You're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm a little jelly. But I'm a crafter, you know? If I feel that FOMO, I might just make it myself. Who knows? Maybe that'll be a future project. A casket for a Halloween-themed diorama would be pretty awesome. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. So as I'm following those lines, I'm gonna cut both of these really quick, and then I'm gonna show you just how I pop it off. Anakin says, "What's the Sentinel back there? How much was it?" Ooh, that is the Hasbro HasLab Sentinel. I love Marvel Legends. They were my gateway to collecting action figures. Again, as an adult, that Sentinel I did not get when the HasLab was going out. I got it as a birthday gift from my husband. So shout out to my husband for that. I really appreciate that. I love that action figure. And I'm not going to tell you how much he paid. I'm just going to say that it was a pretty penny, and that sometimes I'm still surprised that he got it for me. Okay. So if you missed it there, what I ended up doing was I took my X-Acto and I placed it on the edge that's closest to the edge of the foam, and I just went along and popped that sucker out. Boom. Yes, sometimes you're going to cut unevenly. This side is a little thicker than the other side. I'll say that, but that's not an issue. What we're going to do now is we're going to get our magnets, and we're going to slide one in here. Just pop it in there. And then the rest of the magnets that don't belong in that spot, you're just going to slide off like that. By doing that, you're going to see how much you need to press down on the magnet. You can see that it's almost flush. My finger does run into the magnet when I run it across the surface here. So I'm just going to push in a little more. And now it's smooth. And that's what you want. We're going to do that for both sides. And this one also needs to go a little bit deeper. Hiya! And voila! Now it's smooth to the touch, and that is what we're looking for. Smooth. Smoother. Ooh. Alright. Now we're going to get our leftover magnets. We're going to pop these guys out, because now it's time to use our tacky glue. It's super sick, he says. Yeah, I'm definitely getting my money's worth with that action figure. If you guys don't know, here on Roku and YouTube, that Sentinel action figure from the HasLab, the project was... Whoo, he's a chonker, man. He is huge. I have this yardstick here at hand. Let's see how tall he is. Let's place it behind his head. And it looks like he's about 27 and a half inches, I believe. That's a lot of action figure. Alright, back to the tacky glue. One of the reasons why I recommend this glue over others, it's not that the others don't work as well. for me, I'm one of those people that's sensitive to smells, especially like chemical smells. So this is odorless. It's odorless, and it gives you a little bit of leeway and some time to adjust whatever you're gluing down before it sets, you know? And I really like that because sometimes I'm not Bullseye, I'm not Hawkeye, I'm not gonna get it right all the times on the first try. So I really appreciate that it has that little time frame for me to adjust it if needed. Alright. And so what I did there, I coated it around it instead of just in the middle. I'll show you guys here. Looks a little it's a little hard to see over here, but I'll show with the motion of the bottle right here. I'm sure everybody can see it. Whoop. Here we go. Squeeze some out, and then you're just going to run it around the edges. And then voila, nothing to it, right? Okay, so this part is always important too. When you're using your magnets, make sure that you place them in the proper direction. Don't go one negative and then the other side positive on top. So again, we're just gonna pop this baby in here and drag the rest of them out. And this part happens a lot. After you add your glue, because you've now added extra stuff into that hole, you're gonna have it protrude a little bit. So you're just gonna squeeze it out. Squeeze it in there, and then you're gonna need the towel that I forgot to get. You know what? I'll just use my paint towel. And of course, if you see this happening, that's part of it. It's not too messy. You can always add a little bit, but to be honest, you're gonna want that glue to actually do this. It'll be a sign that it's pressing really tight and that you don't need to add more. So again, if you forgot what side, because I do this all the time. Yo, all day. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Sorry, I guess I'll catch up with some of these comments. I just got the curse right. All right. That's the Sentinel in the back. It's super sick. Shirmy says, I still need that Sentinel. Wallet hurts just thinking about it. Oof. Yeah. That's how I feel every once in a while. That's why I play with it all the time. Right, so I was saying, it's always, if you forgot what side the magnets are facing, just take your extra magnets, place your finger over the one that you've already glued down, and let it do its magic. If it's trying to connect, then you know it's it's the right side up. So then, again, you just pop that baby in there, and you drag the rest of them out, and put those magnets somewhere where you're not going to lose them. This one seems to be perfect. I don't have to press. I'm going to just a little bit so that I can get some of that pressure to react with the magnet's weight there. And this one again, just a little bit more. This glue does not expand, and I really like that because sometimes I went overboard with the Gorilla Glue that does expand. Came back after I left it alone and I saw just bubbly yellow messes that made me start over on that particular piece. No good, no bueno. This is my ASMR. That's what's up, bro. Oh, you missed it. I was running lines through this, through the foam. It was definitely it definitely gave me ASMR vibes. Okay. So, we've already done so much for this. We've sanded the edge, we've added 2 magnets, and so that you see how this is going to go along, we're going to actually magnetize the wall from the previous episode. I'll put this one aside and whip this baby out. Right now, if you have this at home and you're looking at it, you can tell that it's pretty much the same design if you flip it from this way to the other. So you're gonna choose which side you want up. I prefer that you use the smoother and more like straight side. Depending on how you cut this, sometimes the cuts do come in an angle when you're not as experienced as others. So don't feel bad about that. Like I said, you can always take your sanding stick and even those lines out. Luckily for me, I didn't make that mistake. It happens. I've made it before. So I have the smooth flat side that I want to use, which is going to be this side, right? So really quickly here, there you are. Just looking for that ruler. So if you recall, I had said go in 1/2 inch and then put a magnet down, right? So that's what we're going to do for this one too. On the bottom of it, we're going to go in 1/2 inch, going in 1/2 inch, and then making another indent with our extra magnets that we have. So let me get that going. Where's my 1/2 inch? There you are. Boom. Luckily, this bottom brick that I am using is already at the 1/2 inch mark. So if you have a ruler or something straight, you can just stand it up following that line. And then we're gonna use those magnets again. Try and put it in the middle, and then we're just going to press so that indentation can show. And I'll show you guys that right now. Alright, see, it's that easy. That easy. Now we're going to do the same for the opposite side. Okay, I pressed in enough where I can put my ruler down, and I'm just going to move in a circular motion on top of the magnets so I can make that indentation pretty clear. Cool. And if you'd like to see that, there's that. Nothing to it, right? Okay, so now that we've added those indentations, we got to do the next part. We're going to come here, and we're going to use this magnet just to line it up so we can press down on this side, just like we did on the base, because all we really need is that line for us to follow. And you can see it pretty well right there, and you guys can see it pretty well right there. And you guessed it, we're doing that on the opposite side. And we're just doing that, I'm just doing that to show you guys there's easy ways to get these steps going. Everyone that's joined so far, thank you so much. Thank you everyone that's sent gifts, comments, just hanging out with me, that's also cool and invited. Adam Fig says, all day every day, for real, trying to stay awake. Oh no. Well hey, at least you're probably going to dream about being Bob Ross or something. Not that I'm comparing myself to him, but you know what I mean. Alright guys, get that X-Acto knife out because we're going to do this part. We're going to follow our indents from one end to the other. Press all the way in so that it covers the space properly. And then just as soon as you cross the edge of that indentation is when you can stop. Boom. Boom shakalaka. Now just again run it to the other edge. Make sure it's proper on the other side. Boom. That easy. So it's going to be a little hard for you to see on camera, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to again because we have our circular indents here, I'm going to trace that with my X-Acto knife. And then we're going to add magnets to this. Now this glue takes about, I would say, I'm not going to mess around with it too much because I don't want the magnets like in the sense of connecting them right now, because I don't want one magnet to overpower the other and pull it off if I try to disconnect the walls or disassemble. But what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure that I'm putting the stacking them in the right order. Alright, pop out. Pop out. Alright, cool. where are those extra magnets? See, this is what I was talking about. Make sure you know where you left your magnets, because... Oh, there they are. Jordan, what's up? Are you guys trying to be spicy in the comments? What y'all saying, huh? What are y'all saying? Okay, where... Oh. And it seems like... And again, you're going to run your fingers through it. If your finger is stopping here at the magnet, you just press down to flatten it out, even it out. Doing the same thing that we did to the other one. Now we're going to press a little bit more on this just because it needs that little tough love right there. There we go. Okay, then we're going to do the same for the opposite side. I know it's a little hard for me to show this part. I just have to, like, I guess I can do this without eyes. I need my fingers to be my eyes for this. There we go. It's blocking on this side, so what I'm going to do is just press to make it fit flush. And there seems to be a little bit of resistance, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to chip off some of this corner with the resistance. Because if I go down it with my blade, oh, I guess I can do that. Oh. Alright. There we go. All I did was I entered my blade through that same cut I did on the wider side and sliced down just slightly under my original cut. And now that magnet fits in perfectly. So now that those went in well, I can take them out and tacky glue those edges. I do have a little bit of a mess here, so I want to pick some of this stuff up as I go, because then I don't want to like accidentally just blow all my garbage all over my table. So if you have a little cup or something that you can use, I have this little trash can that I like to put people's initials on here when while I craft. So if you want your initials on here, just put them on the chat and I will do that. A little side fun for us. What's up, everybody? What's up, Running Lights? Okay, so because I've handled these magnets so much, I've forgotten what side is the right side. So again, so that we don't pull the magnets out that we've already put in here, what you're going to do is you're going to place your finger on the edge of it, and if it sticks, then that bottom side is going to be obviously the bottom side, the face of this hole. So let me add some glue in here before I do that step again. Adamus Prime, what's up, brother? Make it clap, clap, clap. Thanks for joining, man. Even if it's just for a second, I appreciate the support, homie. If you didn't know, today on Caveman Adventures Episode 6, we are building, we are working on the base of our brick wall diorama. And just lining up the inner corners of the cut, dabbing a little bit in the middle right there. Damn. And we're gonna cap this off so we don't want our glue to get stiff. Okay, and now that, again, for the third time that I've forgotten which side is the proper size to magnetize it with, there we go, it did its job. Let me show you guys this. I love these magnets. Boom. Alright, so the part that's magnetizing to the other magnets on the base is the face of the bottom of the wall. If I sound a little confusing, I'm sorry. Get that excess glue off of there. Just use your fingers. That's what I'm doing. Go ahead and wipe the parts, the extra stuff you don't need. I have my art towel over here. Paint towel, whatever. Yo, Rob, what's up? Oh, Adam S. Prime says, do you ever pigment to mark polarity? Okay, what? Like a marker or a sticker. Do you ever pigment to mark polarity? I don't know half those words. But he says like a marker or a sticker. I look, English isn't my first language and I can barely speak Spanish itself. If you can explain what that means a little better for me, I would greatly appreciate that. Magnets can be tricky. Oh, for the, oh, so like, oh, okay, so that I know what side to use. Yeah, actually, I used to just paint like a little mark on them with either a marker or, like you were saying, not a sticker. I haven't used the sticker before, but I had to use the marker for that. That is a good. There you go, learning something. Use a marker to mark the right sides that you're meant to stick together. That's what's up, bro. Thank you, thank you. Follower that says, what's good, young man? What are we working on? Today, we're continuing to work on this brick wall backdrop diorama piece by creating the base for it. On the last episode, I used one of those giant 24 by 24 inch plates, the project panels from Lowe's. This is what you see right here. This is the extra piece, the larger piece of those cuts that I made yesterday, or the day before, yeah. So right now we're just purely working on magnetizing it. And I think by the end of the show they should be dry enough to where I can connect them and not be worried about one magnet overpowering the other or the glue and ripping them out of socket. That's something we want to avoid. So that's why I won't be putting them together or connecting them until later in the episode. Okay, so now that we've magnetized the base, we've magnetized the brick wall, we've divided where the brick wall is going to sit on with this line, we can work on a design for the base itself. Now that's open for interpretation and for however you want to stylize this. What's up, Retro Man? It's good to see you, buddy. Everyone that's in here, thank you so much for the gifts and the likes. At 10k likes, I will open an action figure and give it a quick review of it and see if it deserves to be in my collection. JK, all the action figures deserve to be in my collection. I'm here, start over again. No. Because I will be adding to because I will be adding walls to this, I'm going to leave these sides blank. I'm doing something a little different today. Instead of stacking my walls on all of my walls onto the diorama, I'm only going to be stacking the back wall, so that I can not only have more space to use, and believe me, those 2 inches count, right? So those 2 inches count, and I'm talking about the inches that I'm saving by not stacking walls on the top. So like I said, I have to work with a pattern with that in mind. So what kind of pattern can I give this guy? There's so many options. We can go large panels, small panels, we can do another brick design. But the brick design is way too time consuming because we already did one. We already did one for the backdrop, and that's what's more important to show the brick design than anything. What kind of magnets are you using? I'll tell you what kind of magnets I'm not using because I don't know the particular name or strength of these, but I will show you them right here and right over here. I'm using these circular magnets that you can find at Hobby Lobby. These are my favorite go-to right now. Once I find better magnets than this, I will definitely switch and use these when they're in proper timing and usage. The magnets you want to stay away from for this project are these. If you've seen these at the Dollar Tree, these magnets work. They do work. Like I have a metal bar right here. They're sticking. They're doing their job, but they're a weaker grade. And you don't want that, because then your diorama will have issues staying you know, connected. So avoid these for diorama purposes unless you have something smaller that isn't going to be actually no, I'm gonna commit to it. Don't use these for dioramas. There's plenty of other magnets that have more strength. You're gonna have to spend a little bit more money, but luckily they're not that expensive. They're about, I think, under $4 for a pack of I think 20 to 30 of them, of these circular ones. So instead of buying the Dollar Tree ones, you can buy these circular ones for like $3 to $4, and you'll get like 20 to 30 of them. So keep that in mind when you use magnets for your dioramas. Right, the design for the base. We're going to keep this simple because I have an idea of what the whole thing is going to be. I was winging this because sometimes that's just like the way I like to work. I like to wing some of these projects and with what feels good. But to save us some time, I will divide this into different panels. But first, we got to know the dimensions that we're working with. So get your ruler out and know what you're working with. We got 10 inches wide and then the 18 inches long. So I could do panels of 5 inches and divide this straight down the middle, or I can even break that down even more. So what I think I will do is I will give it the old action figure test. Ooh. I'm gonna grab my largest action figure that I would use for this diorama. I'm going to, oh, Retro Man, thanks for the friendship bracelets, bro. Really appreciate that. Like a lot. I'm going to take this large action figure that I have, the largest one, and I'm going to measure the size of his feet. And that's just about 3 inches and 2/8. So I'm gonna go the full. I'm gonna go 3.5, just to make the dimensions and all that easier for me to deal with. So that's what the first divided block is going to be. So we're going to grab any ruler that you have, and we're going to measure from one side, on one side edge, on the edge of one side, sorry guys. And we're going to go up to 3.5 inches. Now make sure it's aligned to the dividing 1 inch line that you've made previously. Okay, looks like 3.5 inches is right there. I'm going to make one in roughly in the middle. Oh. And then I'm just gonna flip my ruler, and I'm gonna do the other side after I align it. There we go, 3.5. Boom. And as you can see, this particular ruler that I have, what's this called? Isn't this called a square? Right? Anyways, because you can tell that the square or ruler is not long enough to reach the other edge, I'm going to use my yardstick again, which is my favorite measuring tool that I have. Why is that? Because it can cover more space when you really need it, and working with these dioramas, you really need it. Retro Man gave me a sneaky gnome. Yo, hey, yo, relax, bro. I don't know what that is, but I like it. Ooh. Okay, so here comes our second dividing line. This line will actually be visible in what the diorama will end up being. Okay, now why did I do that? I have two ways that this project is going to go. It can either become an alleyway with a sidewalk on it, and that is 3.5 inches for the sidewalk, or my other option is one of those lineup rooms that you see criminals getting their mug shots at, you know, the one that has their height next to them or behind them. So which one do you guys think I'm going to do? Now the rest of this space right here, can be divided in any way, but for this purpose, I'm going to divide it by, well actually, let me get my ruler again. Because, again, I have 18 inches to work with, and I'm using, obviously, I'm using the ruler to help me eyeball how wide I want the other dividing plates to be. And gotta make sure that they're gonna be evened out. How about if I go to 7.5? No, because 9 inches is the middle, right? What I want to do is I want to go at 8.5. No, 8 and 6/8, and then 9 and 2/8. And we're going to do that on this, I would say, middle line right here, the one that we had just made at the 3.5 inch mark. We're going to find the 8 and 6/8 and the 9 and 2/8 marks on our ruler. And then we're going to divide it with a thicker, oh, let me see if that's correct here. I don't want to mess up my, yes. And it looks like I leaned a little bit to the left. I'm going to push these marks a little bit to the right so they're more aligned. And now I can go ahead and paint and make and connect these dots. So like follow the dot in here, follow one dot to the other. I did leave a little bit of space in the front. I will show you what that looks like so far. From here you guys can see that the divided plates. From over here you can see this divided plate, I hope. It's a little hard to put this whole piece in frame, but it's there. That's what it should be looking like. Now, depending on how much space you left will show how much room you got to work with. Yo, retro with those sneaky gnomes again. Symbiote says, teaching a class, am I the only one with a pen and pad out? I hope not, I hope not. I would hope that everyone's at home making this. Cutting some steps that I don't need to explain to them. But yeah, I hope that y'all are following me, or someone is, because I would really love to see someone's end product, or the end of their project, you know what I mean? A finished project, there we go. I can English, I swear I can. Okay, so how much space did I leave before I met the edge? I left 6/8. So I'm going to actually run this all the way down to why not 2/8? We're gonna go all the way, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go down to just 1/2 inch. So that just means 2 more 8s down. There we go. Push this a little bit back. Boom, boom. I know, always, the dimensions and the measuring is always the most difficult part for me. I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I'm not a genius. I'm not good with fractions. Sometimes I eyeball this a lot in the sense of like, oh, that looks like enough space that I want to use, so that's what I'm gonna use. Okay, and what I'm doing now, at this corner of the base, I measured in 1/2 inch. Alright, I made a little mark right there, and we're going to do the same to the opposite side. Once you've made those marks, we're going to connect some more dots. Great. And now I can use my square, or JR, you're in here. Is this a square? What do I call this ruler? Running Light says, hey Taven, what's up, Running Lights? Right, so now that I've made that line, I'm sorry. Now that I've made my marks, I'm going to connect these two dots. And on the opposite side, I will connect those two dots. I feel like I'm just playing connect the dot when I'm working on these. Boom. And so now I've created two plates divided by this little T-shaped border. I want to leave this base somewhat simple and minimal. I don't want to go crazy on the details because for some people who are following me and making this at home, I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of measuring, especially since my vocabulary is a little limited on how to explain it to you guys. So if at home or whoever wants to make this, you can definitely just divide these panels into however you see fit. Just make sure that whatever you do on one side, you mirror on the other side with the same measurements. Alright, so I wish you luck on that. I personally just wanted these two larger plates, and I kind of want to press down on these lines a little more just so you guys can see. And let's get that aligned again. Retro Man says, I'm watching on Roku. That's what's up, Retro. Thank you, thank you. Everybody that's here or has been here, don't forget you can find me on Roku TV through the DIY channel. All you gotta do is add the DIY channel to your Roku menu. Click on that bad boy and you should see me streaming. Or you can visit mydiytv.com and check us out from there too. I'm also on YouTube under Cave Art Adventures and here on TikTok. And y'all know me as Taven the Caveman. Alright, making sure we can see these details. And I'm just going over these. I'm not pressing super hard at all. What I'm doing is I'm letting the pencil and the weight of my hand make these marks. Let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. Now you can see them a little better there. Okay. So that is basically the base of our foundation. Yes. I did say I was gonna show you guys what it looks like when it's snapped on. I feel pretty confident that these won't snap off. Or, you know, what I'm trying to say is that one of these magnets isn't gonna overpower the other. Boom. And it's standing up on its own. Here, I'll just hold this side and voila. We've created a brick wall backdrop and given this base a simple design, but enough to where you can see that there's some detail. If for some reason running lights says keep lagging, oh no. If my stream is lagging, I'm so sorry guys. Let me see if my Wi-Fi is on. It is on. If your Wi-Fi is not on, you should check to see if it is. Sometimes it's an issue of having to update your TikTok or from wherever you're watching me stream. I do apologize for those moments of lag. Not intended, but if you missed something you'd like me to go over again, just please put it on the comment and I will try and re-explain that so that you don't miss the details you wanted to hear. Retro Man Cringer, that's good. By the way, everybody that's shared this, thank you so much, you guys. We are at 7K likes, which is awesome. At the 10K mark, I will open a toy and give you guys a quick review. Once again, I just really want to show you that the magnets are holding. It's got a basic design on the floor. I can always add more panels if I so choose to, which I think I might divide those panels into two. Yeah, and I mean into four. And I really wanted to show you this. If you're working with magnets for the first time and you're excited and you've connected your pieces together and you don't want them to snap off, all you can do, all you do is just slide it off instead of picking it up. I'm connecting it and I'm sliding it in whatever direction, but just slide it. And now you've avoided that completely. Alright. So as I'm looking at this, I'm going to add some more panels. So I need that ruler of mine, and I think I will add, here's the options. Like I said earlier, I am winging this, and I am limiting myself every time that I make new, that I give it new details. Oh, let me check some of these comments out. Doing good, relaxing. Awesome. I love when you guys know each other around here. By the way, thank you Retro Man, for all those gifts. Keeps lagging. Cool. Did you carve out the places for the magnets? I did. You must have missed that part. What I did was I measured 1/2 inch. Well, actually, I can just point it out. What I did was for the magnets is I measured in 1/2 inch after I made this line, right? So let me start over. Measure up 1 inch on one side, follow it to the other side, do the same. After you measure in 1/2 inch, try and place your magnet closest to the center of that inch line that we have, and then press. That'll create an indentation. After you do that, and you can see the indents of the magnets, what you're going to do is you're going to grab another magnet, if this is your first time working with these, and you're going to place it flush to the top, right? Then you're going to press down. It's going to create a line right there. That's the line you're going to use to guide your X-Acto blade or your snap blade to cut inwards, so that it can cut a smooth base for your magnet. Diorama is looking good, dude. Yo, Bartman, thank you, sir. Everybody say hi to Bartman. Everybody else that's joining us too. Running Lights, thank you for the ice cream. It is tempting for me to go get some right now, especially on such a hot day. But I got a whole full hour to work with you guys. So before I can get some ice cream, I'm gonna keep teaching you guys how to craft some of this stuff. Now, the next part that I want to do, that I said I was going to do, is that I was going to divide these smaller panels that I've made. I kind of like the way they look right now, but I have a feeling that I'm going to want more details. So I need to add those details in here before I start adding paint, because after you paint a diorama and then you go back to add detail, it's a lot harder than you think. There's paint that you have to work through, and sometimes the pencil drags, and it just gives an unclean look to your marks after you've painted it. I feel like this is probably going to be more of an interrogation room than an alley. Now, why did I do a brick wall if I'm going to do an interrogation room? I did the brick wall because this is going to be either the back side of it when I want it to be, or it's going to be, or the front, whichever. This is why when we magnetized it, we didn't do one positive and one negative on top of, of the foam. I connected them like this so that if I chose to, I could flip this wall around. This wall is going to have the measurements when you line up your action figures. So that's why this one is blank right now, and that's why there's a brick wall design in the back. The measurements on the back of the brick design is going to be really fast and easy to make. I really wanted to press the brick wall and get that out of the way, because it's probably the most tedious part of this project. Not only that, but like I explained on the first episode, it's one of the most wanted diorama pieces out there. People love the alleyways, and I wanted to show how easy it was for you guys to make that at home. Yes, we are essentially making a dualrama, patent pending. And a dualrama is, of course, as some of you guys know, a diorama that once you flip the walls around or rotate them, it creates a different but similar scene depending on the two choices that you've gone with. For me, it's a brick wall and a lineup room for interrogation type of deals like that. Mainly just to line up and get that mug shot. Later on, I will say I am going to be making those little mugshot cards, or like panels that they hold with in front of their bodies and stuff. I'll be making some of those so that this whole thing makes a little bit more sense, because sometimes accessories really put together a project that you work on. Alright. I think that's pretty much out of the way. What I will do now, because I want to add a little bit more to this, we're going to work the edge of our diorama, the front of our diorama, and we're going to measure what is this? That's a full, it's right under an inch, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure down, I'm going to measure down 2/8 from one side to the other, okay? So you find your corner spot, right here, you guys can see the corner, and the top of the base, the part that's going to be seen on the diorama, you're going to go 2/8 down from there. So 1, 2, mark. I don't have a smaller ruler on me, or I would be using that, because the one I am using right now is a little bulky, but that's just what happens sometimes, 1, 2, roughly in the middle, so you have something to line up with, and then we're going to do it on the opposite side. If you're a little confused on what I'm trying to explain, as soon as I make this mark, you will see what I am conjuring. Conjuring up. Okay. What's up, Justin? What's up, world? Guys, I have a question for you. When do you think it's appropriate to tell my mom that I have a show on Roku? Okay. So this is what I did. I went down 2/8 from the top of my base all the way across. That's what I was trying to explain. And once I put some paint on this piece is going to look a lot better than just having it end at the flat edge. It's going to give it some depth, some character, because we are going to paint the bottom of it, this bigger piece, a different color, just so that it pops. Should have told her already. I probably should have. I told my sister, I think, just 2 days ago on the first, on Monday. Yeah, I told her on Monday. You should have told the world. Well, I am telling the world through my TikTok, right? I don't have everybody's number to text them to, to get them to come check me out. Otherwise, I would. Can you imagine if I hacked one of those, like, you know how we get those, like, national emergency, text messages? What if I hacked that and I told everyone, hey, come check out my Roku? That'd be hilarious. Just checking some of these gifts and comments that I missed. Running Lights, thank you for that ice cream. I don't know if I said thank you already, but I am definitely tempted. I can hear my tummy going grumble grumble. Good thing you got friends. For real, Retro. Like, dang. I'm still trying to. I'm still learning. You know, there's always room for improvement on how we do things. All right. So this is pretty much done because I have a feeling that these that this is gonna work out perfectly. Sometimes I'll say it like this: sometimes less is more. You know. So I'm gonna leave it like this. What I am going to do is I'm going to put this aside for a second, and we're gonna get our brick wall, and then we're going to sand the back now. I should have done this when I first sanded the other side, but I knew because there wasn't going to be anything that was stuck on here like that would make it protrude, that it would still be easy enough for me to sand with all that brick layer down, with all the bricks laid down already. This is the part where we're all annoyed because I have to do this. I don't know what it is about certain sounds. I'm not the biggest ASMR guy, but if you are, I'll be quiet and let this do its magic. Just think of happy thoughts, happy artistic thoughts, as we all work together to make this project awesome. Let the sanding take over you. So why do we do the sanding, kids? That's right, so that our paints take easier to our surface. Sanding will make a difference from having to put on 3 layers to up to 5 to 6 layers of paint. So if you want to save a little bit on paint, do a little bit of sanding. And again, I'm using, I believe this is, I want to say that it's 150 grade, my little sanding block here. You can tell that I'm going to need a new one pretty soon. That's what I believe this is. If not, you might need a little finer one. But you'll know. If you're not completely confident of what sanding grade to use, get an extra piece. We have a longer piece from the diorama, from the, right. We have a longer piece left over still. So use that piece to practice your sanding. You only want to take off the first layer, which is kind of waxy looking. That's all you're trying to take off. You're not trying to take more, but you definitely want to get around that ballpark. You use the foam blocks, 220 grit. Nice. It's soothing. Oh, I got the stuff all over my fingers. I have been told, and I can't believe that I forgot this time. If you need to, please wear a mask to just not inhale any of this stuff, because you really don't want to be breathing this stuff in. I'm just not remembering that, and that's on me, but I hope that if you were sanding this at home, you would have thought that extra step and decided to wear a mask. I don't see where I left mine. Normally I have 1 or 2 laying around for this very step, but I'm excited and I totally forgot, so I apologize. By the way, everyone that's liked this so far and sent some gifts, thank you guys so much. Retro Man is watching through Roku. I really appreciate that, man. Let's get those numbers up, support each other, and don't forget to follow Retro Man. It's soothing. I used the foam block, right, JR? Yeah, that's what's up. This should be pretty much done. There's a few spots that I see could still have that top layer of waxy look on it. I'm just trying to go over that. And bad mistake. Don't be like me. I'm gonna brush this off over here, and yeah. Okay. You don't want to use your hands, and if you have an extra brush, I've always kept this as an extra brush to brush off dioramas when they get dusty, and of course for this purpose itself to brush off all of this extra shavings that I don't want around me. Alright, now that we've shaved that down, now comes the part where we draw our live details to make this look like one of those lineups. I'm dying to know what those rooms are called. Is it a lineup room? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You know, when you get in those mug shots and like people's height is all like measured up behind them. It's that. Okay. So what I kind of want to do, since this is 13 inches tall, maybe 1 inch, that leaves me an extra inch, and then the middle inch. Okay, so this is what I shall do. Usual suspect room, exactly the usual suspect room. Don't tell Leon, but this is the project that I'm making for him as a thank you for the custom action figure of myself. Well, he made 2, right? But yeah, this is gonna be for him. I didn't have money to kick down, so from one artist to another, because he does great jobs customizing action figures. I'll show you guys again over here on Roku. He did such a great job with those that I wanted to give my thanks back to him in a way that I think he would really appreciate, especially if he can use for his collection and to use, you know, for that specifically. Okay, so I do want to give this side some. It's really hard to explain some of the things that I see in my mind, but pardon me, an interrogation room. That's exactly what I had in mind when I where did you go? Okay, so check it out. Just because this is along what you're talking about, retro, I wanted these 2 panels to be wide enough to where a table can fit there, and like someone can walk back and forth to this side, and have enough space for one person to sit across from the other from a table, and like I said, or someone walking around over here. That's why I didn't want to add too many panels to this, and I feel like just 2 large panels is what you would typically see if there's more than just one, you know, one solid floor. Again, I wanted to work for a couple of purposes, either interrogation room, a lineup room, and I feel like going with a simple design like this is the move for this project, you know? Okay. So I love using this. I think it's called a square. If I'm wrong, someone correct me on the chat. But I love using this because it's already at the 1/2 inch mark that I tend to use a lot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my handy dandy pencil. Where you at, buddy? Oh, get your pencil. If you don't have one of these, just measure up 1.5 inches on this corner piece right here. Like I said, this pen is already, this ruler from this side is already 1.5 inches. I'm just gonna mark that there, and then Make sure this one is aligned to that same measurement. Don't want a smaller line over here. Boom. And then we're going to go down an inch. Quiet stomach, you know nothing. You don't know my struggles. We're going to measure in an inch. And of course we're going to measure the edge of it too, just so that we don't eyeball any of those details. Like I said, we want some straight lines up in here. Okay. So now that I've made some marks, we're going to connect those dots. Everyone that's joining, thank you so much for the follow, Jenny. I really appreciate that. Stick around. We do a lot of crafting, drawing, talking toys, nerdy stuff, you know? So I am committing to what I am doing, and yes, I am freestyling this. But from experience, these projects have also come out, you know, fine. So that I have the confidence to do that. If you don't, what I'm gonna say about that is have the patience. That have some patience. The more you do this, the more that will grow, and the easier it'll be able to for you to just wing it. And I mean that. It's just one of those things that with experience you just kind of know where you want it to go. Alright, so now that that's there, gotta find my measurements again. What's 11 divided by 2? Obviously it's 5.5. Boom, here's the middle of that. So we're going to go from 5 to 1. I mean 5 to 6. Why did I say 1? So 5 to 6 here. Okay. And then right. And then again on this other side, 5 to 6. Okay. So I'm going to trust my measuring. Remember, measure twice, cut once. It's not a dad myth or anything like that. It is definitely something you always want to do, so you're not backtracking and trying to correct mistakes. Okay, now we're going to just connect these other lines, dots. And what you should be left with is 3 1.5 inch long rectangles here. Oh, looks like my phone needs a little charge, so let me connect it to my charger really quick, guys. There we go. Right, so you should have one rectangle here, one in the middle, and another one at the other corner. What you're going to do now is we're going to measure 3. No, that's not wide enough. Alright, we're going to go in 6/8. You're going to mark one square at the corner and another one over here at the other corner rectangle. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to connect these 2 dots, but make sure that you don't run your pencil through that middle rectangle. Do not run it through the middle rectangle. Okay. this is going to be our basic design for the side. We can always add more to this, but first, this is what it's going to start as. Looking back to see if I missed any comments, I did acknowledge that. Thank you guys for being here. Alpha Wolf, if you didn't hear me, I did say what's up, bud. Thank you for the follows, the likes. We're at 7.5k. Okay, and then this one, again, we're gonna follow that same design over here, and then we're gonna let our eyes, and then I'm gonna let my eyes guide me after I make these marks to see if I want to add more details to the sides. And by details, I mean, you know, a few more lines, a few more dividing lines that can give it some geometry. Is that the word? I don't know if that's the proper word, but like I said, English ain't my first language, so I'm not gonna freak out about it too much, y'all. Can you imagine if I was trying to explain this in Spanish? Should I be doing that? Te lo explico en español, pero cuando hablo español me tengo que escuchar como un vampiro. Ah, ah, ah. I said if I had to explain in Spanish, then I'm gonna speak like a vampire. Oh, make sure that proper line up is right there. There we go, buddy. That's what you missed. Proper lineup. Take that mark just to be safe. Alright, cool. The Bartman hit me with the lags, bro. That's what's up. Alright, and we're doing the same measurements, right? So once you make those two rectangles on the edges, you're going to place your ruler on the edge of that smaller rectangle right there. And we're going to measure to 5, make a mark, go to the 6-inch spot, make a mark. If you have the ability to flip your ruler like I just did, we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Pardon me. Okay. Here comes our 3 rectangles on the side of the walls. Boom, voila. I do have to say, freestyling some of these dioramas is one of my favorite one of my favorite things to do. Obviously, I like being organized and having a set plan. I love that because sometimes it moves quicker, but when you're having fun, sometimes it just goes by, you know? I can only imagine if I wasn't explaining this while I was, you know, working on it, how much faster it would go. But even explaining this to you guys is pretty fun too, because that's another part of being able to teach something that you're good at. You know, you can be the best at anything, but if you can't teach it, then, you know, a part of that is you're missing a big aspect of it. You know what I mean? And if you missed it there, what I was doing is I was measuring up again from the edge of these smaller of these rectangles on the inner lines, and from the inside, we're going 6/8 up on both sides. And now I'm just gonna connect these dots and make sure that I don't run my pencil through the middle rectangle. Go a little, do another second run on that. Boom. Okay, so let me bring this up here. This is the first side that we measured and that we graded, and here's the opposite side. It should mirror exactly what you did on the other side. I'll show you guys here. Sorry about getting in the way. I'm trying to show There we go. It should look like that. Rectangle, longer rectangle, rectangle this way, blah blah blah. Y'all see it. Okay. Looks like, oh yeah, we still got 45 minutes, wait, 55? Wait, 25 minutes left. Okay, cool. Whew. For the fellas that are in here, thank you for staying with me. I really appreciate that. All the support is greatly appreciated. Really from here, if you've been paying attention to the measurements that we're using, this middle rectangle starts at the 5-inch line, and most of our action figures, well, I'll say most of the action figures that I collect happen to be in the 6-inch scale, like Marvel Legends, Star Wars, the Black Series, and G.I. Joes. That's usually the scale that I deal with. This is the scale that this is to, but I made it at the 5. Sorry, I decided to put this rectangle right here in the middle at the 5-inch mark, all the way to the 6, because I still got to do all the lines, right? And I believe I'm going to start that at the 2.5 mark. So those lines, really what we're going to do here is every 1/8 of an inch we're going to make a mark, because we're going to follow those marks from one end to the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line them up here. Oh wait. But I did say that I was going to start at the 2.5-inch mark. So my 2.5-inch mark is actually going to rest on this longer rectangle that's hugging the wall. Here's my 2.5 mark, and yes, this is tedious, but I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna do a different angle. I'm sorry. I think this will be easier for me to do, and if I want to add more marks to it, then I can. I just, it's gonna be harder to hide the indentations that I make if I don't do it like this. So we're gonna start, like I was saying, at 2.5, and every 2/8 we're going to make a mark instead of every 8. Until you get to the edge of this other rectangle that we've made here in the middle. But just because your ruler's already down, we're going to continue the 2/8 all the way up. As they say, el diablo está en las detalles, which means the devil is in the details. And that's what I remind myself of every time that I have to do a tedious and repetitive part, like, that's what I tell myself, because then I'm just going to be hating it if I don't remind myself that this is just part of the craft. Repetitive marks, adding layers, the basic steps, knowing that you're taking the steps in the proper order. It seems tedious, but the more you oh darn it, why did I add you there? But the more you do these, the easier it comes to, to kind of wave that aside. So I have made my marks every 2/8, going all the way up, starting from 2.5 inches. And now I got to do it in the opposite side. We're going to find our 2.5 inches over here. Where are you at? 2.5 inches starts right here, which is, which is a lot. what I'm thinking of doing with these 2.5 inches that I left unmarked is I'm gonna paint that a different color than the parts that are actually marked. All this other space will be a different color than the bottom 2.5, and that's just so that it can, you know, give it something for your eyes to well, what's the word I should use? Travel through. You know what I mean? When you're checking out an art piece, I want your eyes to travel, but not get lost in the details. And just like I said earlier, sometimes less is more. So we're not going to go too crazy on how we're going to divide that. We're just going to do different colors for the bottom and compared to the top. Which the top should be pretty easy to paint. Most of those lineup rooms that you see are either a soft gray or just straight up white, which is, you know, that's easy. That's cake for us, right? And then don't forget these two right here. Boom, 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 boom. Now I have an idea of how I want to draw these these lines across. I could do it in different ways. One is I can just make one thicker than the other, so it goes thick, thick, skinnier, thick, you know what I mean? Or I can measure, like, let's say, whatever, 2/8 out for one, and then start the line, or measure like an inch for the thicker line, and then start the mark. Either way, there's so many different ways you can express this one room. I'm sure it'll come to me once it does. I've made my marks, and I really got to make my mind up on how I want to express those the height lines. But first, I'm going to draw a line from one end to the other at our 2.5 inch marks, just so that I can go ahead and divide that now. I want to make sure that's my only one right there. Yes. Now, even though I'm sure I started these on the right measurements, I want to make sure, and like I said earlier, just measure twice and cut once. This one is fine. Let's move on to this guy, rotating it. 2.5. Okay, good. My eyes are not deceiving me. I got my measurements right. That's what I want. From one corner to the other. I'm gonna move this camera angle a little bit over here. Okay, align these two dots, the very bottom dots, again at the 2.5 mark. We're gonna grab our pencil, and we're just gonna let the pencil do its job. Boom. And so now we've created a dividing wall here. We've divided the wall is what I'm trying to say. I know you can barely see it, but in these stages of the diorama, it is better that you don't press as hard, because imagine if you changed your mind. You want to be able to sand these marks off without leaving any, you know, indentations or grooves or whatever. So that's why I'm lightly pressing. Kind of like when you start a sketch out, you want to lightly press before you put in some hard details on it. Okay. I feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of taping off for these next steps. I might end up doing that off camera. Actually, I can't. This is a project I cannot work on off camera, especially when I'm putting in live details for everyone to copy. So we're gonna have to hold on to that for a sec. Now let's put an action figure. Let's lay him down here and see if I'm liking it. I apologize if you can't see the detail that it is laying against, but I assure you, if you were just working on this with me, you are aware of the details that are there. Boom. Alright. I like that dividing wall, that dividing line right there. It's not all the way up to his waist. It's right under, like right above his knees. I like that. I just wanted to be able to express that it's not going to be such a simple design. With adding different colors into it, we'll make it pop differently, but we're pretty much going to keep this at like a light gray or a white. I might end up painting these rectangles right here a different color than the wall itself, just so that it has some contrast and something for your eyes to travel to. So yeah. Okay, the next part to this will have to be... Oh, come on buddy, stand up here. There you go. Okay. Ooh. Oh, my back. My back wants to be popped. Alright, cool. I'm going to get my yardstick. What I think I will do, because I was talking about starting these lines up, not directly touching the rectangles, the edges, the borders that we just worked on. What I'll do is I'm going to align this right here to the first one. Boom, there we go. So, like I said, I'm not going to start directly on the rectangle here on the side. No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in ½ an inch, just because we're used to working with ½ an inch. And I'm going to make a mark there. I'm going to go to this opposite side and make the same mark at the ½ an inch mark. And now I will continue, now I will connect them. Okay, I will do that for every other dot that we have to connect. Okay, that's one. And how about for this other one? I can go in deeper, or I can make it shorter. I feel like going in deeper is probably what I want. So if the other one was ½ an inch, this one is going to be, let's say 6/8. Or should it be a full inch? How about we go... Yeah, let's go in between that. Why don't we go to 7/8 instead? Shall we? Let's do it. So we're going to move up one, and we're going to go 7/8. And then we're going to connect them. Okay. Sometimes the first marks are the hardest to make, but we're essentially going to follow this pattern all the way up. So let's go with it. And once we get to these rectangles in the middle, you'll see the slight difference that we're going to do, that we're going to make. So the next line is going to be ½ an inch, ½ an inch. And make sure I'm lined up though. There we go, 1/2 inch. It's half. And we're going to line it up. What was the next one? That's right, 7/8. Yo, what's up, Zio? Nerd Space, what's up, man? You caught me crafting, bro. I'm making a lineup room / interrogation room for 6-inch action figures, bro. Because I do it like that. Okay, now that I made those marks, gotta be careful. Again, make sure your measurements are right, because this part you are disconnecting from the original lines that we made. You don't want to confuse yourself, even though it's a little confusing. Trust me, it's gonna be fun. Alright, and this is gonna be one of those tedious detail working. It's just gonna be tedious with all the details that are gonna go into this, especially just because it's a lot of line making and measuring before we get there. So don't forget, this one's gonna be 1/2 inch. And the more important part of this detail right here is the dividing lines right here. This pattern is going to follow all the way through, and then we're going to have the same space right here, you know, right now. And then, like I said, we're going to follow this pattern all the way down. It may not look like much right now, but it's going to look really awesome once I put some numbers here, which I'm thinking of just printing out numbers and gluing them on their appropriate spots, just so that I don't have to pencil in numbers myself. There's nothing wrong with getting a little help from the proper tools, and if you have a printer, that's one of the tools you can use for diorama making. If you don't have a printer, there's always a local library you can visit. You can print some of those out. It's just going to be one of those things where you're going to have to be able to guesstimate the size of those numbers. But when it's an art project, there's really no right or wrong. If you want big bulky numbers, that's totally fine, as long as they fit within the 6-inch universe of your action figures, that is. Or if you want precise smaller numbers, that's fine too. As long as you're comfortable with what you're making, you're doing it right. It's your art piece. I'm just here to guide you through some of the steps you might not be aware of. Make sure that's at the 1/2. Yes, sir. Is that not? Oh, okay, that was the wrong one. See, this is what I'm talking about. But it's a good thing that you have the proper tools, like one of your sanding blocks here. This is also why I say don't press hard for these details, because then you won't be able to sand your marks away. I might have to fill these in. I know it's not a really big mistake, but I do like working as neat as I can. Being neat is just, you know, just what I like to do. So let's align these bad boys up again. Cool. Now that we know it's not the 1/2 inch one, but the 7/8 mark that we need to make, go ahead and adjust. Once you've adjusted those, then you can make your dots connect. Okay. And I know it's tedious, but I swear it's gonna make sense with those numbers running up the wall. Whew. There are other people that work a lot faster than me. There's always going to be a bigger fish. If you are comfortable working faster through this, I applaud you. I really do. There will be times where I speed through something because I'm so familiar with it, but this is my first interrogation room, and I just want to I want to be precise, and I want to pay attention to my details, even though it's taking me longer than I wanted to. But to know that I'm doing it properly is way more important to me than getting it done faster. You know what I mean? Oh, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Ba, 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 yeah. Let's go party. Let's go party. Cool, 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 cool. I might end up just going through these and changing it to changing the steps a little bit. Just because it feels like I can get these lined up and measured out. So once you know you work enough on these, you're definitely gonna find a flow. You're gonna find the confidence to try it in a different way, and if it works, it works. You know, there's no arguing against it. Right now, I feel like I'm going through it a lot quicker than I was by measuring up ½ inch and then hitting it with the other side and then doing the line. I feel like this will be a little faster once it's all counted up for. We go here, and we go here, and then we take it back to ½ inch over here. Yes. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I see what I did. Going down 2, going down 2. What's the 7th? Over here is what I messed up, I think. Yes, sir. I was ahead of one. So to make sure that I have this, I'm going to go 3. Boom, it's this one, baby. And just because this is one that I messed up on, I don't want to accidentally forget that. So I'm going to make that mark now. I'm going to go back to these marks right here, and I'm going to follow up with these lines. Again, thank you guys for joining me. It is 3:58. That means I have 2 minutes left, and you guys made it this far. So far, I have set you guys up with the next design that we're making. This is obviously all optional. If you're following me at home or just following me on this project to follow me, I really appreciate that support. Just hanging out, which is always fun. Being able to talk these details out is getting easier, and I love it. I love it. It's gonna be a hoot, you know. We're in for a ride, you guys. Like, I'm gonna be making so many projects. They're not all gonna be this big. Obviously, you guys heard me say this is going to be a present for someone that made those custom action figures of me, and yeah, I'm really digging it. I'm really digging it. It's trusting the details that you put into it and all that. I feel like I said earlier, adding those numbers over here to the side is going to make this really pop once it's all painted and done. And this is what it's looking like over here. Alright. I do not want to step on the next show's toes, so this is me signing off. I got a minute to spare. Thank you guys again. Don't forget, next episode is tomorrow, where we continue this. And if you're at home working on this project yourself, go ahead and follow those the rest of those lineups all the way up to the last measurements that we had there. It'll save us a lot of time tomorrow. I'm going to try and continue to work on this so that I have it done for y'all.